Yo, what is going on, guys? Bam Deathstroke back here with another deck tech. This time we are jumping into standard with Guilds of Ravnica. I'm very excited to show you guys this deck, so let's jump right into it. No more wasted time. Blue Green Merfolk is back and better than ever with the addition of some very key cards. Starting with the lands, we got 4 Breeding Pool, 2 Forest, 4 Hinterland Harbor, 4 Unclaimed Territory, and 9 islands, giving us 22 total lands. A little land light, but we've got card draw to help us go through our deck. We've got a lot of cheap casting creatures, and we're ready to beat people up with some fish. First up on the list, Benthic Biomancer, new from Guilds of Ravnica, 1 mana 1/1 with Adapt 1. And whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Benthic Biomancer, we draw a card and then discard a card. So sure, we have to discard a card, and it's not really card advantage, it's card filtering, but still, we're churning through our deck, we're getting the cards that we need, and we're advancing towards inevitable victory over our pathetic opponents. I'm sorry, that was a little mean, but I am really excited for this deck. So next up, we've got 4 Cumena's Speaker. Key 1-drop for the deck. It's a 1 mana 1/1, but as long as we have another Merfolk or an island in play, it gets +1/+1. So it's almost always a 2/2. Almost always a 2/2. And to help ensure it's a 2/2, we also have Jade Bearer. Another 1-drop, 1/1. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we put a +1/+1 counter on another target Merfolk. So this helps really well with Benthic Biomancer. Um, Being able to put a counter on it to draw and discard. Jade Bearer, we don't really want it on turn 1, we want it more on turn 2, 3, 4, 5 to help make our creatures bigger. We're also running 2 Spell Pierce in the main board to help us against Wraths. We do not like Wraths. Cleansing Nova, Kaya's Wrath, Ritual of Soot, don't like them. Make sure you've got the Spell Pierce. Moving on to the 2-drops, we've got 4 Silvergill Adept. When it enters the battlefield, we draw a card. Doesn't matter if we reveal a Merfolk, we're probably going to play it anyway. Helps us churn through our deck even more. Who knows? Maybe we draw another Silvergill Adept, and that lets us draw more cards. You see what I'm getting at here, people. Next up, 3 of Merfolk Trickster. It's part of why we're more blue than green in our lands, because we need to have double blue. It's such a key creature for the deck. We can flash it, in on end step, tap down one of their creatures, and then that could help us swing for victory. We could also we could cast it to tap down a flyer if we need to save ourselves some damage. Just a really key component to the deck. We're also running 4 Deeproot Elite. This card is also incredibly key for the deck. Make sure this card lives. Whenever another Merfolk enters the battlefield under our control, we put a +1/+1 counter on any Merfolk we control. So if we play Deeproot Elite on turn 2, and then turn 3 we play 3 1-drops, that's 3 +1/+1 counters distributed however we want. And then one of the 2 biggest pieces of the deck, Merfolk Mistbinder. 2 mana, other Merfolk we control get +1/+1. Helps make our Merfolk big and strong to help defeat our opponents. Next up in the 3-drop slot, of course, we're running 4 Cumena Tyrant of Araska. 3 mana, 2/4 legendary creature Merfolk Shaman, the goat, if you will, or the fish? You know what I'm saying. We tap another untapped Merfolk we control to make Cumena unblockable. We can tap 3 untapped Merfolk to draw a card, again helping churn through our deck. Or we can tap 5 untapped Merfolk we control to put a +1/+1 counter on each Merfolk you control. Not on the tapped Merfolks, on each Merfolk. So if we have 8 Merfolk in play, we can tap 5 to put a +1/+1 counter on all of them, and we can tap 3 to draw a card. Super key to the deck. We're also running 2 Hadana's Climb. Probably could go up to 3, dropping 1 of something else. At the beginning of combat on our turn, we put a +1/+1 counter on any creature we control, and then if we have 3 +1/+1 counters on that creature, we transform Hadana's Climb into Winged Temple of Araska, one of the big win conditions of the deck. We can tap it to add a mana of any color. Sure, fine, whatever. Not important. The big part, we can tap 1 a green and a blue, and tap Winged Temple of Araska to give target creature we control flying, and give it +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. So if we've got a 4/4, it becomes an 8/8 with flying. That's a win condition. Moving on to the 4-drop slot, we've got a couple other win conditions. First, Herald of Secret Streams. making all of our creatures with +1/+1 counters unblockable. Doesn't matter if they've got more creatures than us. We've got 1/6/6 with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, and they've got an army of 1/1s. Doesn't matter. Can't be blocked. To go along with that, Seafloor Oracle. 2 blue for a 2/3 that whenever a Merfolk we control deals combat damage to a player, we get to draw a card. Again, drawing cards. Best thing in Magic. Drawing cards. Sort of along the lines of drawing cards, we've got Incubation to look at the top 5 cards of our library, put a creature card into our hand, and the rest on the bottom of our library in any order. Not really drawing a card, but we do get to find any creature that we hit in those top 5. So if we hit Benthic Biomancer, we can take the Benthic Biomancer. We hit a Silver Gill Adept, we can take the Silver Gill Adept. Super key to the deck. But even more important than that, Incongruity gives us removal that Merfolk was desperately needing. So for 1 a green and a blue, we get an instant that exiles a target creature, and then that creature's controller gets a 3/3 green frog lizard creature token. If they're attacking us with a Hydroid Krasis or whatever that new big Simic flying monster demon thing is, boom, now it's a 3/3. They attack us with Doom Whisper, boom, it's a 3/3. Super important to the deck. Moving on to the sideboard, Dive Down, really key against stuff like Burn when they got a handful of 4 shocks, 2 lightning strikes, 2 wizard's lightning. We need Dive Down to help keep our creatures alive. To go along with that, Essence Capture, except the problem with Essence Capture is that it can only counter a creature spell. So we got to make sure that we use these wisely, bring them in against creature heavy matchups, maybe leave them in the sideboard against Burn. But we do get to Essence Capture does come with the added bonus of putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature we control. So imagine this situation, right? Benthic Biomancer, counter something with Essence Capture, put a +1/+1 counter on the Biomancer, draw a card, discard a card. 2 mana to counter something, put a +1/+1 counter to make our guy bigger, and to draw a card. Insane value with Essence Capture. Also in the counter spell slot, Disdainful Stroke helps us deal with all the big stuff that maybe our Merfolk can't deal with. Excuse me. Key for the control matchup, we've got Deep-Root Waters. If we resolve this against control that doesn't have enchantment removal, we could almost win the game with this. Whenever we cast a Merfolk spell, we create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token with hexproof. Very key. Also, you could bring this in against Burn. Sure, it's a turn 3 do nothing enchantment, but those Merfolk having hexproof is so important to the deck. Bring this card in a lot. Wasn't quite good enough to bring it into the main, but this card comes in a lot. One card that's kind of in a flex position right now, Vineshaper Mystic. 3 mana for a 1/3, good blocker, but we can also put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target Merfolk. So this comes in, very worst situation, it's a 2 mana 2/4, dodges a lot of burn, dodges, a lot of the smaller creatures that are going to be that we could be facing off against. Same stats as Q-Meta, not as good, obviously, but worst case scenario, stats of Q-Meta. Best case scenario, distributing 1/1 counters all over the place, making our stuff bigger. We have also got a second Herald of Secret Streams in the board to come in. We don't want to bring this in without removing the Seafloor Oracle generally, because we want to keep our curve fairly low to the ground. Also, these don't generally come in against Burn because both the Herald of Secret Streams and the Seafloor Oracle only have 3 toughness, dies to Lightning Strike, dies to Skewer the Critics, dies to Wizard's Lightning, dies to a whole bunch of stuff. But these do come in if we're facing against a lot of creature heavy decks that can go wide, makes our stuff unblockable, swing in for the win. We've also got, finally, we've got the 2 remaining copies of Incubation Incongruity, again against creature heavy decks. Bring these in. Incubation helps us go through the deck, find whatever we need, and Incongruity, very big for removal. I haven't taken this deck through a league yet. I wanted to see if you guys wanted to see me do that. I will be happy to do that. That's going to do it for this deck tech. If you want to see me take it through a league, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to drop a like. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. We're coming back better than ever, 2019. It's the year of the Merfolk, boys and girls. It's the year of the Merfolk, and I will see you guys next time.